streaming? We are live. Let's check on Twitch. You wanna look at the channel?
Can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's working.
Yeah?
Yep.
Actually, give me like 2 minutes. I'm sorry. No, never mind. I think we'll be fine.
Okay. Okay, it's working.
Alright. Okay. So, how should we start this, Tim?
Hmm. I don't know. Most shows like these usually have some sort of repeated opener. They do.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the tagline I had at the start of my Reddit post, where I introduced saying like, "Hello there, players and gamers."
Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking something like
Uh-huh.
this, like each person just says their name really quickly by saying like, "Hello, I'm the," and then "Hello, I'm the," and this is da da da.
Okay, I see that. Although it's gonna be really short. It's just two of us.
All right, you want to try doing that?
Sure.
All right. Hello, I am David Daxey,
Hello, I am Tim. It's Kench Thiessen.
and this is the Lounge of Legends.
Well,
Beautiful. We hit it.
nailed it.
Nailed it. Awesome. Now, we're going to introduce ourselves. Why don't you start, Tim?
Well, what exactly should I say?
Tell me your name, again, I guess, and then tell me about what you do for the show and what you expect the show to be like.
Ah, okay. Well, my name's Tim,
Mhm.
and basically I'm the guy who tries to keep updated on all things gameplay-wise. I love to learn things upcoming in the game and speculate on how the game will change from things being introduced to it, which we have a lot to cover here today about that.
Most
Big,
yes,
big, it's coming.
most definitely.
Basically, with this show, we're hoping to give a perspective on the smaller players. How do general League players see things that are happening in the world of League?
Hmm. I would say the smaller players are the bigger players since they do pretty much take over the general demographic.
It's true. It's
Mhm.
just that so often the smaller players don't get to have their proper say because
True.
how incoherent most of it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the time it's just bigger players such as pros who get their say in and get listened to. So hopefully we can change that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So about me, my name is David Daxey Lee, and I am the co-host of the Lounge of Legends. I am also a journalist for Ghost of Gamers. Ghost of Gamers is a leading news reporting website. It's best you check it out. It's ghostofgamers.net. Now, let's talk about our show, Tim. So,
Yes.
what's our show about?
Well, I covered this in my intro already, but what we want to do is kind of expand the view of players, probably get a discussion going, get people thinking about things that are happening in League right now. How is the game being impacted in a positive way or a negative way from everything that's going on currently?
Yes. And to add to that, we will be talking into details of the esports, and we will give our predictions, our opinions, We would love to hear your questions. We would love to have guest appearances. So keep in touch, guys, and we'll talk about things as they come. Now,
Certainly.
mm-hmm. All right.
I guess what recently, just this week, we had patch 5.15 launch. It was a bit of a smaller patch, but there are noticeable things that came with it.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Now, uh, okay, so let's talk about what we're going to cover today. Tim, do you want to cover up on what we're going to talk today?
Yes. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned, we'll be covering the newest patch, and as well as all of the PBE news we've been receiving this past week. Big changes with the Juggernaut update. We plan to go into all of that. And after that, we hope to talk about the recent developments in the LCS, LCK, stuff like that. Playoffs are going on. They just started today, so we hope to talk about those and make
Mm-hmm.
some predictions about what we see happening by the time we get to Worlds.
Right. And to start off with our list, we're going to talk about our live server um, that hasn't been around for quite a while.
Right.
So, first off, we're going to talk about skins before anything in
Yes.
game. So, there's only one skin that has been uh, updated, and that is the Cottontail Fizz.
Yes. A new Cottontail skin other than just Teemo now.
Yeah.
Maybe down the line we'll have an entire team of Rabbit champions. We
Mhm.
can have Battle Bunny Ribbon and the two Cottontail skins. That's Twisted Tree Line covered.
Look, I haven't really looked at the Cottontail Fizz, but what does Fizz throw when he does
Uh,
his ult?
I actually didn't see the animation. I know that when the ult pops out, he has a gigantic, evil rabbit monster that pops up out of the ground to eat his target.
I was guessing
I
something
assume he
along the
throws
lines.
some type of carrot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of skins, we will be talking about the skins coming up in the
Yes,
next patch, I believe. Just stay tuned for that.
yes,
Now, let's talk about some of the item changes, or actually a single item.
single item.
Mm-hmm.
Just last patch,
Mm-hmm.
the Zeke's Herald, one of the less popular support and overall less popular items in general, was completely reworked to be the Zeke's Harbinger, which has
Mm-hmm.
become a very popular support and overall very popular su- tank team support item.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's kind of like a static shiv where you just go around stacking up as you perform spells and move. But this is different because it's like Callista, where you hook yourself onto a team member, and when you get to a certain amount of stacks, you gain extra critical strike and AP for a short duration.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been making it a very popular duo item. And this patch, it was nerfed a bit in the fact that now it takes longer to get the charges required to get into the powered up phase,
Right.
but it will last longer. So overall, it could take you longer to get it if you need it, but when you have it in a team fight situation, this could make your carry do some devastating work.
Mm-hmm. So, which type of champions and yeah, so which type of champions do you think the Zeki's Herald will be used more
Zeke's
often?
Harbinger.
Or Zeke's Harbinger, sorry.
No problem. Oh, really? I think it could be used on anyone that's a support.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say you get it on. You could easily this on, like, a Nami or a Sona, because they will benefit from the AP boost.
Right.
And you don't even have to put this with your AD carry if you didn't want to. Sure, the extra critical strike is nice, but if you put this on your AP carry, they can get some big damage out of the extra AP as well. But
Mm-hmm.
mostly, I see this as an item that tanky support champions, like say maybe Gragas or Nunu, could get. Even if they're a jungler, they can just go around the map, and then when it's time for a gank or a team fight, they strap it to whoever's fed, and then have them go in super powerful.
Right. And for those of you who don't know about the Zeke's Harbinger, it provides 250 mana, 35 armor, 50 ability power, and 10% cooldown with two interesting, unique skills. One being the active one. We'll talk about that after the unique passive. The passive is when within 100 units of each other, you and your ally generate charges. Attacking or casting spells generates extra charges. At 100 charges, causing damage consumes them, increasing your and your allies' ability power by 20% and critical strike chance by 50% for 8 seconds.
Yes.
Now, you use the active to bind on a target ally. That's why, so Tim was talking about how support champions will use these for their AD carries, right?
Stats-wise, the item is basically like an Iceborne Gauntlet.
Right. It is. So next up on our list, we're going to talk about some of the changes in the champions. These include the list of champions, including Nidalee, Echo, Sivir, Gangplank, Teemo, and Fiora.
Yes, some of these were a lot bigger than others this patch.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, we'll start with Nidalee, because she's the smallest update. So, ever since roughly end of Season 4, beginning of Season 5, when Nidalee was given the ability to put her passive on jungle camps, she became a monster in the jungle. She became basically the new AP threat of the jungle, and it's still very relevant as one of the best carry junglers.
Right.
But because of that, Riot recently had to nerf her two of her most potent abilities, her Spear Q, which now does less damage overall, and takes a longer cast time to throw. So definitely when ganking with Nidalee, and even while clearing, this could slow her down by quite a bit. Her spear is definitely that one skill everyone recognizes with the champion.
Exactly. Not to be... I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. I want you guys to be, included in the conversation. Me and Tim will be looking at the chat, right, Tim?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Let me get that open.
All right. What I want to say is that Nidalee, with the patch on Nidalee, we won't see lots of Nidalees in the professional scene. Like Tim said, it slows down Nidalee in terms of going through the jungle and going for ganks. With that bushwalk vision radius on cast has decreased, it's huge. You can't really, you use that bushwalk, the W skill, by the way. You normally use that on bushes. You could use them over the wall to see vision over dragons or Baron pits.
Yes. So, 1200 range was rather large for a trap of that kind, though. Nidalee's is not like other traps where she has a set limit. She can basically put as many as she wants during the duration that they can be set up. And she got a lot of map control out of that, but I think with this, she's going to have a lot less map pressure, and maybe her damage will still be decent with Cougar form, but her overall ability to control map with ganks and with her vision is not going to be nearly as potent as we've seen this season.
Alright, that kind of covers all about Nidalee. We are going to talk about Echo here.
Yes,
Tell
Echo.
me about it.
The second newest champion, the one that made a big splash upon his release at MSI, when we first saw him. When Echo came out, everyone was playing him as a mid or top lane assassin, AP assassin. But then pros started taking him in the jungle and building him as a full tank, because it's very easy to build any champion as a tank. But with someone like Echo, whose base damages are so strong, he can be a tank and yet still chunk squishies really hard with his execute damage.
Which items complement to the tankiness of junglers these days?
Normally, Cinderhulk is a must, and then you would get, for Echo, the common thing was like Spirit Visage and Frozen Heart for all of that CDR, and the Spirit Visage would synergize with his ultimate heal.
Yes. And so we see Echo who's supposed to be, seen as an assassin, but you normally see him in the jungle these days, and he provides that tankiness and assassination capacity at the same
Yes,
time.
Riot quickly had to nerf him several times over and
Hmm.
on multiple skills really hard.
Yeah.
I've played both AP Echo and Tank Echo, and with
Hmm.
the recent changes, the big changes this patch were they buffed his passive damage, but they lowered his base healing and shield on his W immensely, but they upped the scaling with AP by roughly double. So the
Hmm.
game is telling you stop building this assassin as a tank, build him with damage capability.
Exactly. For those of you who don't know the numbers here, the shield, no, the original shield base was 100, 195, and all up to the max level 4. The ability is 330 points, which is now decreased to 160 at max level. The shield ratio that is scaled on the ability power was at zero point 0.8. Now it is 1.5.
Yes, basically all of Echo's scalings on all of his abilities except Q are very massive scalings.
Mm-hmm.
And now the ga- personally, I think Runeglaive Echo in the jungle is perfectly viable. Runeglaive is a great item to get. It gives him excellent clear and mana sustain. It fixes all the issues Echo had previously on his release when Magus was still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think Echo is a very viable AP jungler. Although in competitive play, I think his weaknesses early game would shine a bit too much to people who could abuse them.
Mm-hmm. Now, quick question. We're seeing the Cinderhulk changed in the PBE, am I correct?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So stay tuned to hear about that. Scared Crow, I wanted to touch on your comment. Yeah, I believe that W ability that Echo has can be unreliable in certain
Yes,
situations, but it's again, it's all according to the situation. I believe
yes,
that using that as a path blocker
yes, a
is
zoning tool.
it's really powerful.
Yes, and
Um,
even if you don't get the
mhm.
stun, you still get a shield for completely free. A very large shield, in fact.
Yes.
Although with the ability, you were always it was always a 1 point wonder ability where you would always put 1 point in it and then not max it until the end of the game. But now that it
Hmm.
has such high AP scaling, you'll get much better benefit from it if you build Assassin Echo.
Right. Mm, not much has changed else, but uh,
Yes. Basically,
mhm.
you're going to start seeing a lot less of Tank Echo, especially in pro play after this
Right.
patch.
They're just telling you, please go for that AP build. Yes. Now we're going to look at Sivir here.
Yes, the most popular AD carry so far this season.
Yeah. I mean, it's no doubt about it. Sivir has that really toppling win rate,
Yes,
and it does require some attention.
yes.
Both.
She
Hmm.
she basically has everything an ADC needs. She has quick clear, great farm, and she has something no other ADC really has with the ability to hard engage with a team.
Hmm. Sivir, um, I mean, I want to say that Sivir needed that attention both on the professional scene and in like normal queues or solo queues.
Yes,
Um,
her damage is not being
mhm.
affected whatsoever. The big effect is that early to mid game, her ultimate will be far weaker in its
Mhm.
speed.
If you guys remember from, I don't remember when it was removed, but if you guys remember Shirelia's, you know how support players went for that item as fast as possible.
Hmm.
Now, Sivir has a Shirelia that is literally I mean, sorry, her skill, and
Yes,
you know,
or if
yeah,
you want something a bit more relevant, uh, both the Righteous Glory or the Talisman of Ascension.
yes. The initial movement speed was 60% at all ranks, but it has been decreased to 40, 50, 60 in respective to the level it's maxed at now.
That's something I wanted to touch on. A few patches ago, Righteous Glory was basically one of the best items in the game, with very good stats, a good build path, and an active engage that would rush your team in, and then slow down your enemies.
Mhm.
With really only it was a 1 second, I mean a 1 minute cooldown, excuse me, and so once a minute you could just engage super hard with your team with no repercussions. And with synergizing that with Sivir just made engaging with them so easy and made running away as an enemy team so difficult.
I agree. Now on the next
So-
list. Yep.
So how Sivir will be affected basically is she's still going to be a very fought for pick in
She still will be,
competitive play.
most definitely.
Her damage is still quite powerful. She can push really well. She can
Mhm.
farm well. So in lane, Sivir's still going to be good, but in team fights, early to mid game, she's going to be less of a presence, I feel.
I want to remind you guys, Sivir ult can be used as a kiting tool.
Yes,
And
it can also be
also-
used as disengage.
Exactly, and an initiation type of skill that complements compositions like having a Maokai in the team.
Or an Alistair,
Yes.
or anything like that that can just go in and then lock someone down so easily.
Mhm. Keep in mind that these changes are in the current patch, and
Yes.
please tell us
Oh.
about your experience of the changes. Yep.
Yes, and one small change added is that anyone that joins Sivir's on the hunt
Mhm.
later on will only receive the same movement speed that she has as it decays. They will no longer get that full movement speed as it was at the start.
Right.
So basically, if you want to engage, you got to be with Sivir when she starts it.
All right. That leads us to the next champion we're going to talk about, which is Gangplank.
Yes, Gangplank.
Now, Gangplank wasn't changed in this current patch, but
He sort of was.
kinda. Yeah.
But we'll get
Mhm.
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
Gangplank has been the center of a lot of controversy for the past patch.
He
was-
was.
He was introduced with his new model. It gave him a new passive, a new E ability, and basically an overall new kit that let him synergize better in a team. But then halfway through the patch, they disabled him for lore purposes. And as soon as Black Market Brawlers came out, you could not play Gangplank in any mode, even customs. You could not practice him. No one could use him at all, and it made people furious.
Oh goodness.
No one was happy with that. And
Oh,
really,
yeah.
we're not going to get into it too much, but personally, I don't think lore should be involved with Gangplank, with gameplay, unless it is part of an event. I know this was technically an event, but I don't think lore should affect something as being able to play one of the characters.
Exactly. There's a quick question to our viewers. Do you guys have like a following up on the lore? Do you guys follow the lore? Please tell us. I don't follow the lore that much. I used to read lots of the introductions to the champions, like this champion is from Noxus and he did this and that and he's friends with this champion. I've only read up till those kind of lores,
Yes.
but
Although the
yeah.
problem with getting into the lore is the fact that they keep rebooting and changing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And really, a lot of the newer lores, if you read like champion bios for their lore, there's like barely anything there. It's such a waste.
But, yeah, like Ivan said, I used to read it back in season 2 too. It's silly. Like it said, Gangplank died when I was trying to do some solo queue. I was so confused. What does that even mean? I pressed on the forums and tried to see what happened. They're like, oh, they basically disabled him
Yes,
due to
there
lore
was.
purposes. Yeah.
Yeah, there was the story they had going on about Bilgewater and involving like Twisted Fate and Graves killing Gangplank, and so he was turned off
Mm-hmm.
just because of that.
Oh, I love Scarecrow's Scared Crow's enthusiasm for lores. He said that he would buy anything related to lore, even if it was
Yeah,
like in
I
a
actually
book.
had that
Yeah.
thinking. Like World of Warcraft has all these books about the
Hmm.
game's story. If Riot did that, I would immediately buy it.
You would.
Like, if you looked at the Echo comic that came out before his release,
Oh
that was
yeah.
really well done. Like, that gave us an interesting look into the character and showed us something we couldn't have known unless we looked at it. That's a good way of getting people behind the lore for a multiplayer game like this where most people normally wouldn't look.
True. But
So if they
yeah.
started doing more things like that, I think the lore could be improved.
I do think that is a very good case or argument. But hey, like World of Warcraft, it's a game where you explore the world, you go around in an MMO RPG style.
That is true. If I could, I would
Hmm.
love to know more about Valorant and see
Hmm.
it, because we really don't know enough about it, I feel like. But I guess before that, they do need to change the problems with like the client and
Hmm.
before sandbox mode.
Sandbox mode. Do you guys want to see sandbox mode created by Riot Games? Please tell us your thoughts on it, and please do
uh,
continue, Tim. Yeah.
I definitely could see why they aren't focusing on lore because they need to fix all these champions and items and the client itself.
Well, to be fair, League of Legends is more famous because of its competitive play, for its
Yes.
esports scene. Now, lore, I don't think esports should be, controlled or dictated by the lore.
Hmm.
Yeah, what do you think?
I agree with that. Basically, lore and gameplay, while
Mhm.
they can intertwine, negative aspects of lore should not affect gameplay. I mean, gameplay, yeah. Say, like, oh, uh, Garen received a fatal wound. Let's make all of his scalings go by half in the game for a week.
Yes, that's a very good example. Or Katarina and Garen just got married, and they're not gonna be seen in the rift. Sorry, guys.
Yes, totally.
They're on a honeymoon somewhere far away in
Or
Ionia.
imagine if they just used lore as a way to permanently remove a champion from the game. People would be pissed.
Oh, that's so funny. What's that? I forget his name. The champion's name. The guy who serves the void.
Uh,
It starts with an M.
Malzahar.
Malzahar. Sorry, guys. So let's pretend Malzahar was like sucked into a vortex in the lore. Sorry,
Yes.
this character died trying to connect with his lord, the void, and he died in the process. So sorry for you guys who play Malzahar.
Who plays Malzahar anymore?
I do. I play Malzahar. Malzahar is fun.
I'll be fair. He got some pretty decent buffs from the AP item changes.
I
But
love I love the little voidlings. Come on.
AD Malzahar,
Oh, dude, have you seen Jungle AD Malzahar, dude?
I saw it in a few normals. Yes.
Oh goodness, they're so fun to do though. Anyway,
I'll,
we are
let me,
going off topic.
yes, we are. I was gonna bring up. Okay, so
Mhm.
basically, Gangplank died in the lore, and they brought him back as a sort of zombie with a robot arm for his new default character model.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
anyone who wants Gangplank's old skin, you have to buy him, play him in a game, and you will get the free Captain Gangplank skin. Because that totally makes sense. Screw everyone who
Kinda.
liked Gangplank's default model before.
I wanted to say, Tim also works as a journalist for Ghost of Gamers.
Yes.
He did write a an article about Gangplank's in-game changes. Do you want to cover up on that?
Yes. Basically, Gangplank's Q remained the same. The first difference you'll find is his passive. It used to be every damaging ability he had was a DOT, a small poison that really didn't scale or affect anything. So they changed it so his basic attacks will do a true damage mini ignite
Mm-hmm.
every like roughly 15 seconds to his next target, and it will give him a movement speed buff when he does it. And so that was a small change. And then the next change, there was a small change to his W. Before it was just a normal heal that would scale with your AP. It still is that, but now it'll also scale with your missing health. So basically, you you can get close to death, eat oranges, and it'll be K.
Mm-hmm.
And big change is E, changing from a just a small AD boost to the team to a full-on sort of zoning farming tool with these barrels that you can link up. And once they get to the last tick of their health, you can shoot them or melee them. Killing these barrels will automatically reset your passive, but further on they scale 1-to-1 with your AD and can crit if you parlay them. And they'll explode in an AoE. If they're linked up, they'll explode to the chained ones. The damage does not stack, but you can catch people off with them, and if hit, they will take damage and get slowed. And it's a very good pushing and farming tool if you can do it correctly.
It also gives movement speed, doesn't it?
Um, I think that's... I don't know. That's something else. His ultimate
Oh.
is what
Mhm.
can do that. With his new ultimate, it has a passive now. You must last hit things with your parlay, and they will give you silver serpents. And these serpents, once you get 500, will give an upgrade to your ultimate. There's a true damage shot in the center at the first barrage. There's a give all allies in the AoE speed buff, and there's a fire more cannon barrages as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically they wanted to give Gangplank more synergy in a team fight. They wanted Gangplank to have more than just a bit of damage to him. They wanted Gangplank to have some versatility.
I'm just reading up on the lore here. Sorry, I'm a bit off topic again, but it says, like, in the last line he says, "Kill them all," he roared, and burned their ship to the waterline. He's all bitter. He's all
Yes.
salt watery now. I guess
He is
they...
the saltwater scourge.
He is. He's... So, I want to hear about your thoughts on his concept as a in-game character and a lore character. What do you guys think? Please tell us.
Yes. This is also the first week Gangplank has been available to pro players.
It was, yeah.
We
did see Gangplank played in the Rift today.
We will get more into that later on.
Well, yes, we will.
Yes.
But yeah.
As for further champion updates, next we have everyone's favorite little Yordle.
Favorite.
Yeah, favorite. Teemo got some major changes for the first time since basically season 3 was the last time they really changed him.
Mm-hmm.
And these changes weren't just some simple stat changes. They were major kit changes. Okay, first we'll start with his passive.
Okay.
Everyone knows he can go invisible. Now if he goes invisible in a bush, the time it takes for him to go invisible is cut in half, and if he's still in the bush, he can move around invisibly. So basically, Teemo can easily... If Teemo were to go in a bush, he could easily escape any gank coming at him as long as the other person does not have some form of vision or an easy way to hit him while he's... And that's also another thing. Now that Teemo can move in the bush, he can move those things that would normally detect him if caught.
Mm-hmm.
And so... Okay. Other changes. Teemo got a buff on his attack speed that he gets when coming out of the stealth that scales
God.
into the late game.
Yes,
So
he does.
now if Teemo were to go invisible, he could and pop in on someone, he could just machine gun someone down with a Nashor's run-ins combo.
I just wanted to point out the numbers, though.
Uh-huh.
At level 15, he gets 80% attack Speed bonus. 80%, guys.
Yes. Orig
80%.
Originally, when he reached level 18, he would get a full 100% attack speed buff.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, they toned that back a bit. Um, Other changes, most of his other changes revolve around his ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everyone knows Teemo shrooms. They're one of the most annoying things to deal with, whether you're a jungler or someone roaming around the map. Now, they cut the time that the mushrooms are on the field in half, but now now Teemo can toss them away from him rather than just placing them down. And
Oh, good lord.
and now the more levels he gets in the skill, the further they go. Not only that, but they can bounce on top of another place mushroom to go even further. So Teemo can get some mad distance with these shrooms. They can go over walls too. So keep your eye out if you're in the jungle, because Teemo's going to be keeping his eye on you with those mushrooms.
And by the way, those mushrooms do have just, flat, uh, how do you call it? You have to hit it 3 times if you're a ranged champion to destroy it. If you're
And
a melee champion, 2 times.
yes, and they also changed how the slow works. They actually nerfed the slow. Originally the slow was flat. The whole 4 seconds you get the same slow, but now it's like what they did to Olaf in Season 1, where the slow is now decaying.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you step on a shroom, if you're trying to run away, the slow will not be as bad. But it's still gonna hurt.
Well, hear me out, guys. I feel like this might be a change thanks to the lore, maybe? Because now I'm looking at the patch notes and it says, thanks, Ziggs. Casting traps on existing Noxious traps cost them to bounce 3, 4, 5, depending on the level maxed. Teemo's further in direction they were originally tossed.
Yes.
So the concept of the character Ziggs, or champion Ziggs, is kind of influencing other champions. Do you think this is kind of what we're seeing, like the lore influencing in-game play?
I'm not totally sure. I mean, I never even thought about it that way. How Teemo's mushrooms are now kind of like Ziggs bombs, where they bounce even after the initial toss, which is pretty interesting. It seems like more Yordles like that. Now you have Heimer, Ziggs, and Teemo all with very potent zone control because of their tossing abilities.
Quick shout out to Swartanks. I did watch the TCL finals, and we're going to talk about it later in the talk show. Stay tuned if you want to hear about that. Anyway.
Yes. I guess back to Teemo. The way I see it is, this definitely puts Teemo a step up from where he was. But
Definitely.
I think he has better zone control in lane, and I think he has potential to have better map control now. And he also has the versatility with his invis for the bushes. But I'm still not sure if his role is going to change. I still see Teemo as just that one annoying champion that puts stuff around the map to zone, and then goes into other lanes to just split push his way to victory. They still did not fix Teemo's other issues where he's not very useful to a team outside of some map pressure.
Well, honestly, players like me will probably say Teemo's OP now. Come on, walking around the bush. Now, like, if let's pretend we saw Teemo in this one bush, but we don't know where in the bush he is. That would suck. You'd be like,
I mean, it's kind of no different from a Kali Shroud.
True. But it's unlimited, and you don't pay to,
Yes,
pay
that's
mana to
true.
do it. Yeah.
And plus, it takes him less than a second now to do it. So, say Teemo stood in the bush near Baron or Dragon, he can just sit in that bush and toss mushrooms at you or by the pit all day long.
Oh goodness! Not only that, he has that incredible attack speed bonus. 80% of 15 at level 15. That's unheard of.
Yes.
What kind of champion has that? What kind of champion has that kit?
I mean, and just recently they buffed some of Teemo's core items with changing Nashor's Tooth and Leandries to have stronger AP.
Mm-hmm.
So Teemo is in a really good place now after these changes.
In a really good place.
Like Leandries, in my opinion, was a pretty underrated item before, but
Mm-hmm.
30 extra AP now has made it probably one of the strongest AP items you can put into a kit if you can if you can get it in a game.
You know what would also kind of complement him?
Huh.
Runan's Hurricane.
Yeah.
Now let's
They did
pretend you're in
they,
the.
they,
Mm-hmm.
they did sort of buff Ronins a while back when they changed
They did.
its on hit effects and
Mm-hmm.
gave it the recurve bow buff.
Yes.
So go on with what you were saying.
Well, like, let's pretend this Teemo, this asshole of a Teemo, is in the bush. Now, you're just trying to CS like the cute little Annie you are, and all of a sudden a wild Teemo comes up in your face with the Runins. Your buddies, your like teammates like Malphite, he's trying to help you out, but he's also taking the incredible attack speed damage. Um, you did you know that the Runin's effect also help the poison? Sorry, the poison
Yes.
passive.
And not to mention if you had a Ronins and an Asher's in the same build.
Oh goodness!
And I've seen some people even go Bork on Teemo just for full on hit effect.
All you need to do is just press A, and then left click anywhere in the map, guys. That's all you need to do when you play Teemo. Or at
Yes.
least that's what I think.
Yes. So basically, what I think is that people that know how to use Teemo in solo queue can do it really well. But I still don't think we're going to see him at a much higher level than that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to be a pretty good solo queue champion if you want to just go top lane and play a carry role.
All right. Do you want to go on with the next champion, or do you want to continue with Teemo? Is there any more to say about Teemo?
Hmm.
What do you guys think about the Teemo change? Please let us know.
I guess if I had to note one more thing, it's the fact that Teemo's mushrooms take longer to arm. So if you were trying to, say, throw a mushroom at a running target, you might have trouble with that considering it takes a second and a half for the mushrooms to actually activate now.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go thinking you can just, like, toss a mushroom on top of another one and bounce it ahead of your opponent and then try to get some sneaky 3-point shots in to kill someone.
Well, let's think about this in a professional game standpoint. I don't think we'll still see him. We might. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like you could set him up in a perfect scenario. Like, let's pretend there's this, dragon fight. There's this small patch of bush in the river
Yes.
at the mid side of the map. There's a
Yes.
small patch of bush. Let Teemo stay there, right? He's
Uh-huh.
level 15, has that bonus 80% attack speed bonus. Let's pretend he's there. You set up a fight for him. All he needs to do is just press A and left click. What do you think?
Mhm. I could definitely see that being a thing. Or watch now. Teemo's going to be hiding in your buff bush, and
Mhm.
then as soon as you're almost done clearing, he's going to pop out and go, and you're going to die. And he has a mushroom trap set up for you on the other side.
So Ivan was saying in the comment section, Blade of the Rune King and full tank. What do you
Uh-huh.
think about that?
I've seen tank Mo in the past. Uh, really, I don't think it fits him very well because if you go that build and none of your skills are going to do any damage, they're just for the versatility now.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I
Now,
guess
mhm.
if you still wanted it to go against, like, if you wanted it to go a mixed damage build, like what people do with top fizz nowadays, it could work. But personally, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Uh,
But that is an innovative thought.
Yeah.
Demayan says, use that Teemo global taunt.
Teemo for Worlds confirmed.
Oh goodness, you
We're,
guys.
we're going to see Hooney playing it for sure, I can tell.
Well, for those of you who don't know about Teemo, he is the son of Satan himself.
Yes, for sure.
All hail Teemo.
Maybe they can take him out of the lore next time.
Oh, please. Dude, there should be like some kind of like lore that complements that.
I mean, the lore he has is that he's an assassin that goes around killing people without emotion.
So, from what I remember, he's like this weird guy. He goes around this forest all by himself, and
Yes,
Yordles are supposed to hang out with like other Yordles because they're social creatures. But
yes,
if they don't hang out with other Yordles, they kind of like get
yes.
insane, and
We
that's
can.
what yeah, that's what Vagar is pretty much like. He was pretty
Same for
much,
Rumble,
huh? I didn't
because
really think about Rumble.
Rumble was cast away by others like Corky and Heimerdinger.
Oh.
And Tristana.
Well, that's where Tristana comes in. So the Bandle city, that's like the Yordle city. They were
Yes,
like, hey, this Teemo guy, he's like fucking strong. He's like son of a demon, whatever. Let's not make him weird or insane. So they made Tristana and Teemo team up, and they kind of had, well, fans kind of assume that they have a love interest maybe, but
yes.
with that being said, Tristana and Teemo, they're like really good partners.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, like so the Teemo and Tristana are both part of this thing called the Bandle City Scouts, and they're like literally like the CIA or the FBI of the Bandle City. So it kind of tells you about like how serious he is, how like really scary. Like he's all fluffy and cute, but deep inside you see the seriousness of dark demon inside of him.
I think that's supposed to be represented in Omega Squad Teemo.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. That
I,
skin is supposed to like show that he is supposed to be like a really, like
yeah,
uh
he's like a war vet with PTSD.
right. He's like the Navy SEAL type of
Yeah,
guy in the Bandle City. That's pretty
guerrilla
cool.
war tactics. But we've spent a very long time talking about Teemo.
Yeah, let's move
We-
on.
Yes, the big update this patch.
The
Fiora rework.
Yes, the next champion is indeed Fiora, and Fiora, lots
She
of changes.
for the longest time, Fiora was seen as in solo queue. She was seen as a very annoying champion to deal with, while everyone else saw her as a champion that was basically like a diet Riven because she basically didn't have much to her that Riven couldn't do better.
Yeah, she's like Riven with mana.
Yeah, and so basically in this patch, they completely reworked all of her abilities,
Yeah.
and so I guess the first place to start off with was I for oh yes the her passive, right, now I'm remembering.
Yeah.
Her passive was a big change in that now when she fights an opponent, she will see a breaker, a weak point on any side of them, and she has to walk to that side of them and attack them with an ability or an auto hit, and she will break it and do more damage to that target. So
Yes.
basically, they basically gave Fiora a skill that requires actual skill to use
It's
to
like a
make
mini
her.
game,
Yeah, she's she's like a proper duelist now, looking for her opponent's weak points when she fights one-on-one.
which is kind of annoying for Fiora players.
Yes, it's definitely going to be something to get used to, but
Mhm.
I think that comes from. I think what they want you to do is synergize her passive with her new Q, which before her Q was a lock-on, and you could do double lunges, kind of like what Irelia players do, but it really didn't do much other than like a poke tool. And now it's
Mhm.
like a gap closer, but it also applies on hit effects.
Hmm.
So basically, you can aim where you lunge now, and it can get you in a good position to hit your opponent's break point.
Hmm. I'm reading the comment section. Zwar Tanks, are you still here? Because I want to do a public service for you by finishing this Fura talk and then doing a little bit on TCL, and then we'll do what we plan to do in the uh, in the schedule. If you're
Yeah,
still here, so comment us if you're still here. If you're not, we'll just continue with
yeah,
our original schedule. So yeah, Fura, the passive is indeed an interesting change. It kind of reminds me of when Lucian first came out. Oh,
right.
okay, Zwartanks, you're still here. All right. So when
Okay.
Lucian first came out, his ultimate was kind of like controversial to me.
Hmm.
Like it was trivial. Like it's like you have to walk around and hit the targets with that ultimate. I was
Yes.
so confused because like, how are you gonna make that work? Well, now it's kind of obvious because like professional players show how you do it, but back then when people didn't, even the pros, like when they were like confused about Lucian,
Hmm.
when people did not think Lucian was OP when he actually was, his ultimate was kind of trivial. Like you have to
Right.
walk around doing meteorite. Is that the old Flash game we had a long time ago? That pixely game.
No,
Um,
no idea.
forget what it's called, Meteor or something. I'm sorry. Anyway, so it's like a mini game inside a game, which
Right.
kind of confused me. I guess it's kind of the similar thing for Fiora now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, uh, after that, they completely changed her parry. Originally, parry was just a little shield you put up, and if someone auto attacked you, it'd reflect.
Right.
And it used to give passive AD the more you leveled it up, so people would just get at level 1 and have 100 AD at level 1.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's you root yourself in place when you do it, but if you get hit by any skill auto hit uh, or CC effect, you will launch it back. A
Hard CC.
if it's a hard CC, it'll be a stun. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be a slow. It is a projectile.
Right.
So really, this is going to be a lot harder to use, definitely. But if you're like saying chasing a fleeing target and they shoot something back at you, or if another champion were to hit you from behind, you could, in theory, parry it and then send it to the fleeing target to kill them. Or if you're fighting someone 1v1, you can start with parry when you bait out their hardest CC and then fight them to get their breaker.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
really, this could be decent for laning Fiora, but I've yet to see anyone really pull it off properly.
I do think that it will need a very high physical level player to get that reaction time. No, when something's launched towards you, you have to have that correct response momentum, and
And
mhm,
if you put it on yourself, it's like Malzahar, or you're sticking yourself in place.
pretty
So
much.
it's a bit of a risk.
It is a risk. But if you get it, well, I believe that since her concept is a duelist,
Yes.
I guess she would do pretty well in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah. So I after that her E,
Mm-hmm.
which is for 2 auto hits, she will get uh, more attack speed, and her first auto hit will slow, and the other one is a guaranteed crit.
Right.
Not a whole lot to say other than it'll be a decent tool for if she's ganking someone and needs that good slow, or if she's dueling someone and wants a good crit. It's a free crit. So if you want to go your Infinity Edge Fiora, now's the time.
It's like one of those auto attack canceling abilities. Like for example, if you play Leona, you could do an auto attack, and then in quick succession, you could use that Q ability to
Yes.
cancel the cooldown on the auto attack. Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Bulwark is kind of like that. And then we have the last
Her
skill, we're gonna talk about it.
her ultimate.
Yeah.
People remember her old ultimate, which was basically like a glorified uh, Alpha Strike from Master Yi. Basically, this is what makes Fiora more of a bruiser type now. She goes in and she fights. She selects a target to fight. If she either breaks all four of their weak points that show up, or she kills them, a very large AoE heal will be dropped for her and her entire team to enjoy, and the heal will scale with her AD.
Mm-hmm.
This gives Fiora so much teamfight potential. She runs in, kills, and not to mention, this is percentage max health true damage now.
Mm-hmm.
So she can even do this to like take out a big tank that's a threat, or to take out a fed carry, and then get a giant heal for her team. So now they can just have a free fight without much issue.
Right.
So I think this gives Fiora some versatility she didn't have before with her old ultimate, which is just a tool for giving off a good dive or initiating a fight.
Honestly, I really liked her old ultimate. I'm kind of sad that it's gone. It's like watching a Super Saiyan fight, like from Dragon Ball Z.
I saw that just today. It's good. But back on Fiora's, I hated dealing with old Fiora's ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
I never really played much of Fiora, but her ultimate was always something really hard to deal with in top lane. Like you maybe like say you're in Gnar, you turn ultimate, you try to engage with your spells to CC her, but she ends up using ult to bait out your CC, and then you're stuck.
Right. Scared Crow says, all I've heard is that her damage is underwhelming. It may be true.
It is a little bit. Now you really have to know what you're doing to get the damage correctly.
Right.
And you also build her slightly different. Now you can build like Triforce and Bork on her more effectively, because now she applies on-hit effects, and it works really well. So I definitely would recommend trying out some more on-hit effects with her.
Well,
possible.
here's my tip for you guys. If you do get to play Fiora, the new Fiora, don't use the ultimate to finish off a champion that has like full health or almost full health. Try to target champions who are like really low on health, so you could use that ultimate to heal your team. Because you'll end up like walking around trying to kill this one champion, and it just looks silly, you know.
And the AoE is quite big. It's only a little bit smaller than a Nunu ultimate.
Yeah.
And if you have someone on your team with, say, a Spirit Visage, this could be really good for them too, since now everything buffs from Spirit Visage is healing.
So long story short, she is more you'll have to be more involved. Like, you don't just click on one champion and she does all the work for you. You have to be more involved. You have to move around. You have to be clever. You have to have the correct response time to play her well.
I feel like Fiora is one of those champions like Vayne, where you really gotta practice your placements.
Agreed.
To really get her damage going.
Now I'm gonna do a. So where is he?
As for how Fiora will affect, I think in solo queue play she's gonna be harder to use, but I think she could be a viable top lane LCS pick.
Oh, I don't think we'll see her soon, but we may see her in the next season's LCS, possibly.
Yeah, we might. We never know. We could see her at Worlds, since there's still 2 months of practice.
We'll see. Well, when Lucian was first announced, people were like confused, but when people kind of learned how to use him, his Q was just like, it dealt so much damage. Not only that, his E had really short cooldown. There was a point at which
his E was manaless.
Exactly, which was kind of broken. They fixed that.
Back then you could do like CDR Lucian and just dash forever.
Is there anything else about Fiora?
No, I think that's roughly it. I think we can skip to TCL for a bit.
Right, TCL is the Turkish Champions League. TCL. Recently there was a playoff that ended today. today for some people, yesterday for others. Uh, the playoffs was called the TBF, which means Türkiye Büyük Finali, which also means Turkish large or great finals, and it featured all the best teams in Turkey. And in the finals, which happened not too long ago, featured Besiktas and I believe Dark Passage.
Yes.
Now, before the finals, we had the semifinals, which well, of course, semifinals. But anyway, Besiktas faced who was it? Team Turquality. It was a really close series. I really liked watching it. You guys should watch it too. It is Team Turquality versus Besiktas. Anyway, it was a really close game, but Dark Passage, who played against HWA, they just completely destroyed them. They were like headstrong. They were like, "Hey, we got this." So they went into the finals with a really confident mind. The finals was like, it was, I don't know what happened. They said that it was like internet problems. I'm suspecting like a DDoS server hack, but other than that, like people were kind of frustrated. They had to wait in the stadium. People had to wait to watch the games. And the players themselves, they were kind of like, what the fuck. But uh, after the wait, they did play. Dark Passage was amazing. They always did ban the Bard because Dumbledore plays the Bard usually, but oh yeah, Zwartnox or Zwart Tanks, Zwart Tanks. Sorry, you're right. Naru is so good. Yeah, you guys have to check out the series. Naru is the mid laner in Dark Passage, and he played. I forget what he played. He played Twisted Fate. He also what else did he play? Keep forgetting. But oh yeah, Azir. He played amazing Azir. He dealt like just enough damage. Not only him though, I felt like Zaitnot from Dark Passage, who was the AD carry, played amazing. In the first game, I was so surprised that he survived in certain instances when he should have died. It could have been mistakes on Besiktas's end, but at the same time, you can't pull that off if you don't have like the physical play you have. So he played Vayne the first game. He used Cleanse in the perfect time, rolling and pinning TF, who was played by Avenue, the mid laner in Besiktas. Zaitnot just pinned Avenue down whenever he got the chance to, using that ultimate and then a tumble for that cloak. He dealt like so much damage. Really good play by Zaitnot. I was so impressed. Like people say he's just a normal Turkish player, but I felt like he stepped up his game in the finals. In the third game, I don't want to talk too long about this, but the third game was really interesting because now Dumbledore is known for very good Bard and Morgana plays, but he's also known to have a small champion pool. So they kept taking out Bard out of competitive play by banning him every game when that's what you normally do against Besiktas. You always ban Bard to force that Morgana on Dumbledore.
It's a good thing to know at least one person in this league can play Bard.
Well, to be fair, you have Lustboy and Aframu who know how to play Bard. Dumbledore is up there. He's really good. But yeah, Avenue.
Bard is a very interesting champion to
He's
watch.
very situational.
Yeah, he's just hard to use. So
he is. But if you get the right timing for his ultimate, like separating the team members from the other team members, like you could focus on the guys who are not hit by the ultimate and just erasing them one by one.
He's also really good in choke points like the jungle.
Exactly. And fast travel.
Yes. Back on Double Doge.
Yeah, Dumbledore, he stepped up in his game in the third game. So what happened in the first game was Dark Passage won. The second game, Dark Passage won. the third game, everyone was talking about, oh, this is it. Besiktas is going to lose, but I was like, dude, Besiktas has got this. Dumbledore, his bard is banned just like any other game, but guess what support champion he used, Tim?
I heard you say Morgana.
He did not, in fact, play Morgana. He did not play Morgana. It's a
Nautilus?
Which one?
Nautilus?
No, a very unconventional Trundle
Oh,
support.
that was gonna be, when I heard you say unconventional, I knew it was coming.
It was Trundle.
Yes.
Trundle has a pretty good, kit. Using that ult on a tank kind of helps, peel that tank. And I believe that Dark Passage had a Hecarim. Now, one thing to mention though, Taiki, the jungler for Besiktas, he's been playing really weak. I was kind of, yeah, Zwarten tanks. He just mentioned it right when I was talking about Taiki. Taiki was really, really sad. I was expecting more from Besiktas, but Taiki was throwing. I saw him like swearing, like during the game. When he was like throwing it. I felt sorry for the guy,
Damn.
but yeah. But anyway, Dumbledore using that Trundle with that amazing pillars, blocking choke points, slowing target champions.
Yes. There was actually another interesting Trundle game that happened today. I'll mention when we get to it.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the TBF, really. And then the last game was not that interesting. It kind of ended in one-sided. But I will say though, the Turkish league is growing. I don't think it's quite up there yet. I'm kind of scared for the TBF right now. Dark Passage is doing really good. I hope they do well in the international wildcard tournament. But
Yes, please,
yeah, but if they don't do well in the international tournament, we'll see them improving next year. The international tournament, wildcard tournament, is a tournament to pick out two best teams in the international smaller regions.
Yes.
They include Brazil, Latin America, the common independence states. That's pretty much like Russia, and then we have Oceania. We have Turkey, we have Japan. I think that's it.
Yeah. Hopefully, when a wild card team is chosen, they perform better than the wild card team at MSI.
That was Besiktas.
Yes, that was Turkey, and step up your game a bit.
Well, I will say though, they did play against all the other teams, and they won to get that position in
Yes.
the MSI. So
I guess it's not really saying that much when TSM showed up and did just as badly.
TSM was really really bad.
Yes.
I was crying in my heart.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't like TSM.
Yeah, this guy's a TSM hater.
Yeah, I'm actually a CLG fan. When I watch the NA LCS, I'm happy that they got second seed. They're gonna do well, I hope. Anyway, let's go back to the PBE. Well,
Yes,
sorry. Yeah.
we covered everything on the live server
hmm
from this patch, and we wanted to move on to the abundance of PBE news.
hmm All right.
Uh,
We're gonna start off with the skins. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the skins. So there are two sections of skins that have been
Yes.
launched. The first one being like a gaming concept. We've seen
It-
Vagar and Misfortune getting that concept. Yeah,
it's an addition to the arcade set, which originally had
exactly.
Sona, Hecarim, Vagar, and Misfortune, and is now bringing on Riven and Blitzcrank.
Yep. Arcade Riven and Battle Boss Blitzcrank both at 1,350 RP. Save up your RP, guys. You guys
Now-
want to buy them.
Now you can officially do a whole arcade team if you want.
Wait, it's 6, right? So we have Vagar, Misfortune, Riven, Blitzcrank, Hecarim, and Sona.
Yes,
Ooh. So you could choose between Blitzcrank and Sona, the
for the support.
classic champions. Yep.
Yes, and everything else is taken up. Hecarim's not the best jungler, but he can make do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, but I love the arcade Riven concept.
Yes,
Like whenever she dies, there's like a KO coming out. Whenever she uses a skill, it's all pixely. Whenever she's recalling, she chooses a sword. Um,
and then Blitzcrank has a lot of references of his own, like being powered by an old NES cartridge, and all the pixels in him, and
yeah.
several references like "All your rift are belong to us."
Oh yes. His his looks kind of reminds me of a Toy Story style
Yes,
kind of
people
look.
have compared him to Zerg.
So it wasn't only me. Like I really like
No,
genuinely thought
several
that
people, several
yeah.
people have thought that.
Yes, arcade Riven box bait.
Yes. Uh, One thing I want to make note of is I was looking at Blitzcrank's hook animation on the new skin, and it looked really wonky to me. I hope they fix that.
um, you mean the pull,
Yes,
the rocket grab?
yes, it does look a bit stiff when he's shooting it out to me. Maybe that's
Hmm.
just a me thing.
Maybe it's the concept. Maybe it's something that Riot has done wrong. Let us know what you think about the
There,
battle boss
there are definitely
Blitzcrank.
skins
Hmm.
in the past that have affected things like that, like another Blitzcrank skin. I believe it's Goalkeeper. The hitbox. No, wait, no, it's I Blitzcrank. The hitbox on his hand looks a lot smaller than it actually is.
Well, one thing I want to say though, uh, we've seen several skins that have actually like kind of influenced the professional scene. It didn't really do a like it really didn't
Yeah,
influence a big time, but the Morgana skin, I forget what it's called, the bright something bright skin.
Ghost Bride.
Yeah, the Ghost Bride skin. The long time ago, when it was first released, the Q was like almost invisible. Like
Yes.
it was really like vague. You can't really see where the snare is going out. But so like the professionals who were playing supports or mid lane, they used that skin for Morgana, and it was kind of annoying. So Riot Games kind of fixed that later.
Yeah. But in general, there are a few skins that are straight up banned from pro play because of their effects and whatnot.
Like what?
I forget the examples, but I know I heard there are a few skins that are just straight up banned because of
Hmm.
how their looks affect how their skills work,
Yeah.
and it could be put a damper on how pros play.
Hmm.
Like the arcade skins, you probably won't ever see too much of the arcade skins because the flashy effects could be very distracting during play.
Right. Now we're going to go to the next section of skins. I love it, guys. I love it, Tim. What do you think?
Uh, yeah,
It's called
definitely.
the Academy.
Yeah, the skins are a bit more basic, only being 750, so minor changes, but
Hmm.
they definitely do look very cool. Everyone's gonna be buying Schoolgirl Ari, I know.
Ari-chan.
People
So,
got their wish. It happened. And
all right.
I've already been seeing the fan art with Ari running to school with toast in her
Oh
mouth.
my god. Oh god, we're gonna see so much cosplay of Ari.
I've also
Schoolgirl
seen
Ari,
a ton of fan art of Arcade Riven already too. People are hyped.
yeah. Oh.
So I guess the Academy skins I don't have too much to say on. They look
Hmm.
pretty cool, but they're also pretty basic.
Well, to just go over them real quick, Ari looks pretty nice. There's this anime color to it.
Yeah,
She. Mhm.
I think they're most. Each of them is supposed to represent a trope of high school. Like Darius is the
I think
jock,
so.
Ari's the girl, Echo is the hipster, and then Vladimir's the bookish type.
Yeah, I actually didn't think about that, but so Darius, he has blue hair, a blue uniform, darker skin tone, which is
And
interesting.
the handle of his axe is a bat.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it kind of shows that Riot Games is trying to promote multicultural characters, I guess. The Darius has like a darker skin tone, and I guess that's a message. I feel like from Riot Games trying to promote like integration between multicultural people.
Hmm.
Now we do have Echo the hipster. He has a pair of glasses. He looks preppy. He has a cricket bat.
He has a pompadour.
He does, and I really like it. He has this like.
I was
Mhm.
very surprised to see Echo get a new skin already. It's only been 3 months and he already has a second skin coming out. But to be fair, the animations for all the effects on his skills are exactly the same as his base skin, so it didn't take much.
Mm-hmm. I really like the preppy style. Like he looks charming. Like, did you see his hairstyle? Like it was all
Yes, yes.
put up. Looks confident.
Mhm,
He's got all that swag.
mhm.
Yeah, I think a lot of girls would like this hot, sexy looking Echo.
Yes.
And then we do have Vladimir.
Yes.
I felt like it was inspired by Harry Potter Hogwarts style.
That's what I thought. He has the long cape with the stripes on the back of his cape.
It's all about that Gryffindor pride, man.
Yes, on the back of his cloak. He definitely. When I first saw him, he did kind of remind me of Snape a bit. But as yeah, as far as Academy skins go, I think they're pretty nice.
I'm not. This is off topic, but is Snape a Gryffindor or a Slytherin?
No, he's Slytherin.
Okay, okay.
Actually, if you put them all with Headmistress Fiora, you can do a school team.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess Fiora at mid.
Uh,
Actually,
it's not a very fitting team comp. There's no ADC or support.
Ari ADC guys for the win.
Lad support.
All right,
Okay.
that's pretty much it for the skins.
Yes.
Now,
Okay. Now here's the big one.
yeah, we're gonna start with the champions, and
Yes, the Juggernaut update that everyone's been so hyped about this week.
it's called the Juggernaut patch or the change, and they do feature 4 different champions at the top
Yes.
lane.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can play any of them top, but yeah, basically this patch in general is going to be focusing a lot on tanks,
Yes.
mainly top laners. The term Juggernaut, Riot says, is meant to represent a tank that can also put out sustainable damage.
Mm-hmm.
So the changes are for Darius, Garen, Mordekaiser, and Skarner. Several champions that we've seen not get a lot of attention because of how, I guess, sort of lackluster their kits are in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start with Darius.
Yes, Darius. This is one of the smaller ones,
Mm-hmm.
but mainly what they're trying to do is shift his power from lane into mid and late game, because we all know how big of a lane bully Darius is.
Mm-hmm.
Riot is trying to fix that up a bit by lowering his overall damage, but what they're doing is making him a better tank. Basically,
Yes.
one of the bigger changes now is that his Q has a delay on the swing, but he will heal 10% of his missing health if he hits targets with the Q.
Mm-hmm.
And now only the outer edge of the Q can apply a bleed, so that's another thing to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And his passive, he still has hemorrhage, but now it does physical damage instead of magic damage, and when it is fully applied, or if Darius kills someone with his dunk, then he will go into a rage where he can instantly apply 5 stacks on anyone with damage, and he will get extra AD during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So this makes Darius a very scary team fighter.
One thing I also wanted to mention is that he kind of got nerfed a little bit in terms of base stats. So, for
Yes.
example, health per level, it was 100, but now it's 93. Armor per level, it was 4, but now it's 3.5. You see that
Yes.
they're trying to make you guys think that Darius needs to go tank. Like, they're trying to tell you guys, we've got the damage up for you for late game. Just go for the tank build.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. because up until now people would just run like 3 damage items on Darius, and really I feel like he's kind of ineffective that way
Mm-hmm.
because he gets kited so hard, and he still will get kited hard, but now he has extra stuff in his kit. Like his W was recently changed to make it so that at all ranks his W will provide a 90% slow when he hits it.
Mm, that is huge.
Yes, it is. And his pull, if he pulls someone for a solid second, they will also get a 90% slow. Originally, when the pull was changed, it was a 99% slow for 0.75 seconds.
That's effectively like a snare, or
Yes.
yeah, pretty much.
So
Mhm.
basically, they're giving Darius more ways to that if he does get on top of someone, they're gonna have a hell of a time getting away.
Mhm.
And his ultimate still works basically the same, although they took away the whole at level 3 you get permanent resets. But now they made it so if you kill someone with his ult, he every enemy around him will become feared for a little bit, which is fear is definitely a uncommon form of CC.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that someone like Darius would have it.
But it's only for minions, though, right?
I I have not seen it done on champions. I think it does apply to them.
Mm. That's interesting. Did you explain about the blood rage?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Okay, so to summarize Darius, it's like Riot Games wants Darius to build tank. It's complemented. It's complemented with nerfs,
Hmm.
and it's shifted its early game potential to late game. So you'll have a weaker early game Darius, but he does have a lot more to offer during the late game since he has like
Yes.
yeah his late game's buffed
Well,
pretty much
we'll
yeah.
go over that when we get into the new items as
Mm-hmm.
well. I guess the next major change would be Garen. Um, oh, and before we keep going, I want to say that also uh, Darius, Garen, and Mordekaiser were all given extra auto attack range to help them farm in lane.
Yeah, yeah.
Which,
We'll cover that.
yeah. So Garen, um, he still mostly works the same, but now his major change is that once he reaches level 6, he will fight the most fed person on the enemy team and do extra true damage to them based on their max health.
All right. So for those of you who's confused, I might even make you even more confused. It's this. He has this passive on his ultimate now. It's called a villain, I think.
Yes.
The enemy champion with the most recent kills, it is the villain pretty much. Judgment and basic attacks on it deals an additional 1% of its maximum health as true damage.
And now, if he ults the villain, it will not be magic damage; it will be true damage.
Exactly. So that's
So
kind of weird. Wasn't Garen's ultimate always true damage?
it was always magic damage.
Oh.
That's why people
Okay.
would go DFG Garen for a time. Aside from that, they changed a few things, such as removing the tenacity a component from his W, and now making it so that to get the resistances that his W would apply, you now have to last hit minions, similar to Scion.
Oh goodness.
And they lowered the silence duration on his Q,
Oh, they did. They also
and
changed a lot on his E.
yeah,
Well,
they changed a
actually,
lot
his
of
W too. Really.
they changed a lot of stuff. They changed a lot of small things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for for his E, they were originally took out the crit component. They put it back in, but they made it so that now, this is something I don't like. Now, if Garen sits in a pile of enemies and he spins, it will do less damage.
Yeah. If it's a group, you deal 25% less damage, I think.
So it can it very heavily lowers his potential in a team fight.
It does. But it does scale on his AD a little bit more. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that affects it. Now, I feel like the W may be the biggest change in Garen
yeah.
because, see, it's now like a mini game or another old blood. If you guys remember the old Bloodthirster, you had to stack the kills on your minion creep so that you get additional attack damage. Do you remember that, Tim?
I, by the time I entered the game, Bloodthirster had already gotten major changes.
Oh, okay. So a long time ago, you didn't get a shield when you had Bloodthirster. You got additional attack damage by stacking on minion kills. Now they're doing the same thing with Courage, the W skill for Garen. Now you have to kill units, like any units. It could be minions, jungle creatures, or champions. They grant 0.25 armor and magic resist effectively. And
Right.
it would be maxed up at 30.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think they changed it to be 30 at all ranks. Originally, you had to scale it up with points and skill.
Mm-hmm.
So, really now, what they're doing is making it so Garen has to... There's a bit more thought into it. You need to get more last hits. You need to think about when you're using your E. You need to think about who you want to silence. And you need to focus down the carry. Garen is now basically a carry hunter
Mm-hmm.
with his new ultimate.
And the active for Garen's W provides 30% reduced incoming damage. It's kind of like Alistar's ult, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's a shorter version of Alistar's ult.
Right. Originally they were also going to nerf the health regen on his passive, but they recently fixed it to be the same. And I tested a new build with Garen on the PB that got my health regen after the nerf to be 260 per second.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to test that with the new fix in. But I think that's most of the changes for Garen.
So we won't see Bronze League Garen's at top?
Maybe. Maybe.
Alright.
Next would be Mordekaiser, one of the bigger changes. Yes. Where do we begin with the new Mordekaiser?
Where do we begin? Well, first off, he's kind of nerfed too. In a
Yes.
sense, his base stats kind of went down.
Yes.
But they did buff, additional AD or HP.
Yes, they gave
per
him
level.
more HP. They want Mordekaiser to be a bruiser now. They don't want people to just build AP Mordekaiser and two-shot people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They
don't-
tried to do that a while back when they changed him, but it didn't work out.
Right. They also don't want you to max E first, I believe. I think they're trying to make you max Q, if I'm...
Yes.
Yeah, if I'm correct.
Now his Q has the new effect where it, instead of just being an advanced auto hit, you now have it in parts. You need to do several auto hits to fully get the damage out with it.
I believe 3 attacks, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and his W was the biggest change. It is no longer... Now, it's kind of like another version of the Zeke's Harbinger, where he puts it on an ally, and then when they run together, they have more speed. And the W no longer costs health, and now when you run at an enemy, you and your ally that have the buff on you, it'll do a dot to nearby enemies.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see lots of tower dives.
Yes.
Mordekaiser, potentially.
Yes, it is a pretty good initiate tool since it gives 75 extra movement speed.
75.
75 movement speed.
That's literally like another pair of shoes.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So
And his E.
Mhm.
This is a pretty good change because it gives Mordekaiser another AD scaling. It now puts a 0.6 AD scaling for his E, so now his Q and his E have AD scaling. So if you want to go that Gunblade Mordekaiser, you do it.
Gunblade. It will probably work though.
Yes. To make up for that, they heavily reduce the damage of it.
The base damage did decrease from a max 250 to 155.
Now it has scaling cooldown reduction though,
Which
and
is not bad. Yeah.
if you kill someone with it, you will get a uh, um,
A shield.
more of your shield.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I forgot to mention this. A new component of Mordekaiser's W is a passive. Anytime Mordekaiser last hits something, he will get the full experience for it, even if someone is near him.
Oh goodness.
So, I'm not sure how that'll work. Do they want Mordekaiser to be a melee duo laner?
Maybe a support.
I don't know. His kit doesn't seem very support-like.
Use that W, man. Get that additional movement speed.
And now, his R. I guess before we go into the major change with that, they gave the R a very substantial buff with now his ghost duration going up. You can now have a ghost for a total of 75 seconds.
Oh goodness.
That is pretty massive
It is huge.
to be in a 6v5 for that long.
Well, not only that. Well, tell me about the big change.
Okay, if Mordekaiser damages the dragon whatsoever and his team kills it, he will gain a dragon ghost that will take over the spot of his ultimate ghost and will follow him around the map, killing enemies and pushing towers.
Now, let me ask you this. I haven't seen this played though. Mordekaiser, he just leaves his ultimate on the dragon while it's being killed, or does he have
No.
to kill it himself?
All he has to do is damage the dragon with anything, and then it will take. If his team kills the dragon, he will gain the ghost, and while this is active, he cannot use his ultimate.
Does he have to be nearby?
No, he just has to get an assist on the dragon.
Oh God, that is. Well, to be fair, Mordekaiser needed some kind of spark to it.
I guess Riot really is saying, play Mordekaiser bot lane. So,
Mhm.
I'm really not sure how that'll work. That's a really odd change to put into the game.
It is. Maybe
Now-
maybe jungle Morde? Maybe.
I don't know. But now, if you want to have Dragon and Baron fight each other, you do that.
Well, anyway, Mordekaiser does pretty much have a huge change, be it for good or the worse.
Yes.
Well, to summarize it, his W pretty much enhances movement speed. His Q now does it goes for 3 auto attacks. His E gives him shield. It's more of a defensive tool now. His ultimate now gives up a lot more duration to the ghost and a fucking dragon ghost. Pretty much.
He is Mordekaiser, Dragonborn.
Dovahkiin. Anyway, different game.
Yes.
Um,
I guess the last but not least is Skarner.
Skana.
I cannot say much about this champion since I really did not play him much at all.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's been reworked several times before, but Riot cannot not make him work for whatever reason.
Skarner.
This patch intends to make him more of a tank and less of a fighter.
Well, to be fair though, his role in the game was more often than not a confusing thing, because you don't know how to build Skarner so that he does relatively well.
Skarner I see is kind of like what I normally see with Evelyn, what do I build?
Well, Evelyn these days is complemented with the new jungle items, but Skarner is continually kind of confused by lots of players. What role does he have in the team other than kidnapping little Annies in the Rift?
Right. Well, I guess we'll start with his new passive. This basically makes every Skarner game a mini Dominion match.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at all of the epic monster camps, the buff and the buff cans, there will be little spires that his team can collect, and when they do, Skarner will gain buffs while inside the AoE, like extra attack, speed, and mana regen.
It feels like you see a pattern, Tim, from Riot Games trying to create those mini games for new champions or rework
Yes,
champions.
yes. I mean, this helps Skarner while he's clearing jungle, but I really don't see how it's going to affect his gank potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, he also gets this effect when he ults someone,
Mm-hmm.
I should mention. But aside from that, I really don't know.
We'll
It's,
see. Mm-hmm.
yeah, right now they're they're changing Skarner's damage points up a lot. Uh, Now when Skarner's W is a weird change because they have a shield that no longer has a base value to it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you raise it with AP and HP. So, Rylai's Skarner. Totally.
Possible. Realize. What else? What else would complement it?
Um, Roa,
Rod of Ages,
Leandries.
Leandries,
That's about it.
Mid Skarner, Faker Senpai playing Mid Skarner, guys.
I hope not.
All right. So tell me about the E.
Okay. New effect. When Skarner hits enemies with Fracture, they will get Crystal Venom for 5 seconds, which
Mhm.
will make Skarner's basic attacks do extra damage and stun them for a second.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess this is supposed to help Skarner's ganks be more than just what his ult can provide.
Mm-hmm.
But they also given the effect where if he E's, it will get slower the more champions it hits.
Right.
So overall, I don't really know what to think with Skarner. There's really not much other changes with Skarner's kit other than like pure stats. So I don't know. I really don't think this will help Skarner all that much because it seems like a really confused kit, and the enemies can even benefit off of his kit because if the enemy starts getting ahead, they can take every capture point on the map and make gold off of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing to mention though, his W does indeed scale off of his maximum health. Um, well, we do see certain items being changed. Am I right?
Yes.
So it might kind of complement to his changes.
Um, I well, I guess since we're basically done with all the champion changes,
Mm-hmm.
we should start getting into the items. And
All right.
I think one of the biggest item changes that's going to hurt Skarner's new setup that he could have had previously is the Cinder Hulk. They're buffing Cinder Hulk's base health by 100, but they're taking away the health multiplier by 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of stuff coming this patch that scales so much with health, so they kind of have to do that.
They do indeed. Cinder Hulk. Well, you normally see in professional scene. If you're a jungler, you just go that Cinder Hulk and then just go rush that Giant Spelt or Sight Stone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we remember Cinder Hulk's reign on top lane for those 2 months.
Yes.
And even after they nerfed the damage, the base stats were still good. Now, overall, you're going to have to build more tankiness if you want to get more out of Cinder Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah.
I'm wondering how it'll synergize with the other items of the patch. I guess, aside from Cinder Hulk, there's basically every tank item minus 1 or 2 is getting a stat change this patch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to lead into that?
Which one?
I guess we should talk about the armor changes.
Okay. Well, let me kind of do both the health and armor
Okay.
changed item, and that being Randuin's Omen.
Right.
To give a general overview of all the changes, though, armor items are kind of more expensive now, and items that used to give lots of armor are kind of dropped. And
Yes.
we now Randuin's Omen, its cost did drop, but also
Its health and armor were dropped.
right. So its
But
health, yeah.
it was given a new stat to make up for that.
The crit damage reduction. Now it reduces critical strike damage taken by 10%. So if you see like Caitlyn's or Vayne's hitting you with critical strike, you'll take less damage, which is
Yes.
okay.
And Random Endowment also got a shiny new icon, similar to Black Cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if we'll start seeing more items, more old items get
Oh,
new,
most definitely. I do think that.
get new icons that fit
Yeah.
the art style. Um,
So yeah.
aside from Randuin's, which is one, uh, I guess the bigger ones would be Thornmail and Frozen Heart.
Yes.
Um, both of these items, they were always very cheap to get, and now they've had significant price nerfs where now they cost 200 more,
Mm-hmm.
but their overall stats are worse. Like Frozen Heart has 10 less armor, and I think Thornmail does as well. But the major thing with Thornmail is
Mm-hmm.
actually no wait, Thornmail does not have any stat changes. But the major thing with Thornmail is they changed how the damage reflection is going to work. Now instead of just taking damage based on the damage you've received, take it'll now reflect based on less of the damage you've received, but it'll also scale with 25% of your bonus armor.
Mm-hmm. So to sum it all up, you reflect 30% of damage you. Well, it originally reflected 30% damage from champions and minions, but now instead it reflects 50% of the damages and added that with 25% of your bonus armor. That
Yes.
means your armor that you get from your items. Am I correct?
Yes. So,
Mm-hmm.
say you combine them with the armor masteries, the more armor you gain based on your levels and such, you will just gain more armor and then you will reflect more damage.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now, one thing to note though, it also says that it has some soft synergies like Leona and Rammus. Now, Leona and Rammus, I'm just gonna give you the Leona example. Leona has the W skill that gives her additional MR and armor.
yes,
Yeah,
champions such as Braum, Malphite, and Terrac also have something similar.
right. And she gets, um, she gets more off of her armor from that ability, and thus kind of helps her Thornmail deal a little bit more damage.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe we'll see more supports running Thornmail in the future.
Mm-hmm.
At least armor supports.
Yes.
As for uh, Glacial Shroud, they received a 50 price damage reduction. Warden's Mail got 50 more added to it. And then just basically armor in general is gonna if it costs less, it'll be worse. And otherwise it'll cost more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Frozen Heart got like a significant expense.
yes,
It got more expensive, and its armor did go down.
yes. Although other items like Iceborne Gauntlet did receive a small price reduction because of Glacial Shroud change.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's roughly it for the armor section.
Yeah.
Stuff like Sunfire Cape and it was untouched. Raptor's Cloak, if you remember that item,
Mm-hmm.
it received a small uh, extra cost, but now it has better health regen to it. And Zizarot Portal was made slightly cheaper, but really, who runs Zizarot Portal anyway?
Well,
Same with
um,
Omewrecker.
we might see it, but played by supports.
Right.
It's viable with the question mark.
Mm,
Well, well, you do get you know, you do get gold from those void spawns
yeah.
or voidlings.
Yeah.
One item that is used in the professional scene, I forget what's called. It promotes a minion. Or
Banner of Command.
right, Banner of Command is used. Like we didn't think that Banner of Command would be used in the professional scene, but
Yes.
a lot of the players are starting to use it, and why not? Why not Zero Portal?
I I'm not really sure. I guess just because the item is just seen as really ineffectual against other item supports have to build like a Locket or a Mikhail's or a Righteous Glory or stuff like that.
Hmm.
Supports just have other items that prioritize it.
Hmm. To create a scenario, just when there's like a Baron fight or a Dragon fight, just place, if you're a support player, just place that Zero Portal in front of an outer or inner turret's range, and then just let it do the damage you need, to deal the
Yeah,
tower with. Yeah.
I guess it's possible. It's just not as effective as a banner in that respect because the
Hmm.
minions do not take any sort of damage restrictions.
True.
Um, the Before we get into the MR stuff, let's talk about health item changes, which were
Hmm.
pretty small. There was Warmog's armor. Now you still get the regen benefits, but you need 3,000 health for them to really start kicking in.
I think that's a pretty big change. I mean,
Yes,
we'll see more Doctor Mundos actually.
possibly.
Mundo, like his passive complements from the maximum
Or
health he
yeah,
has,
yes,
and the Warmog armor will just make him significantly even more, tanky in terms of like survivability with that
right,
extra health.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it also gives the item synergy with other items, so you like get it as like a fourth or fifth item, and
Yes. Yeah.
because you
Mm-hmm.
need the other health to go on top of it.
Like Mundo's long time ago had to just go for Warmogs on the spot, but now with the changes, Warmog's not even an item that's used much anymore. I guess they're trying to change that. I do think that a Mundo might go for a Warmog's armor as a second core item. We'll
Yes,
see.
I think what made Warmogs difficult to use now, they took away the health and they made it so you only get regen while out of combat.
Mm-hmm.
So before it was better during a team fight, now it's a lot worse during a team fight.
Right. All right.
And
Mhm.
then there was just a small change for Righteous Glory. No longer receives the Catalyst passive when it is upgraded.
I think that's big though.
Yes,
Mhm.
because before, say you leveled up during a fight, you would get that small heal with your mana and health.
All right.
But now you won't get that anymore during a fight.
So you might actually see champions or players kind of wait until they've kind of abused the catalyst, I guess, and
Yes,
then go for the righteous glory. Because
possible.
the catalyst passive is really significant when you're fighting and you get a champion killed and then you get experience from it. You might level up during the fight, which
Right.
in a lot of cases when you're like level 5 or 6 happens. Well,
Oh,
hmm
uh, you go on about that. I'll bring something up.
all right. So if I guess it's cheap, it's good that it's cheaper, but the catalyst passive. I mean, think about it. You have the catalyst passive. You could abuse it until you're level 18, losing that capacity or that that kind of dynamic towards the
Yes,
item. You're just losing a lot from what you're paying for.
right.
Hmm.
One thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that I totally forgot that they added in base regen on the Warmogs.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
did
yeah.
it did not originally have that. It is now 200%, which is the biggest amount of base health regen any item has.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it could be decent in a fight again with these changes, maybe. But it'll still be like a late game item to grab.
Even, a, like, even more of a reason for Dr. Mundos to step up in the Rift. If this
Yes.
Warmog armor does go through again, these are PBE changes. They do go through a lot of changes until they think of releasing these changes.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
Yes. The other changes. This is the patch where the MR items get a big buff.
Indeed.
Uh, I guess the two big ones. Well, most of them get a buff. The two big ones are Banshee's Veil and Spirit Visage,
Mm-hmm.
which each gain more MR, uh, a, a cost reduction. No Magic Mantle is back down to 450. Negatron Cloak is now at 80, and you'll see Negatron Cloak in more builds. And now, yes, basically, Banshee's Veil got more MR, and Spirit Visage got more health regen and MR. So I think with all the changes we've been seeing, we'll start seeing a lot more Spirit Visages.
Mm-hmm. Well, to comment on the expenses, it's noted that it's rescaled, or the cost of the MR items are rescaled to the cost of 90% of the cost of, or the expense of,
Yes,
armor items.
Banshees and Spirit Visage did receive a 50 gold reduction for their
Mm-hmm.
costs. And now, oh yeah, Spectre's Cowl also got a buff. Now it's 40 MR instead of 35, which is good since it'll be put in more builds.
Right. We might see more items being created for Spectre's Cowl. We don't see much diverging from it.
Right.
So we'll have some
Oh wait, no,
eyes on it. Yeah.
I said Spectre's Cowl did receive the buff, but I meant to say Negatron Cloak. I think is the one we'll start seeing more in builds because I believe these is it the Spirit Visage that's getting the change in its build. I remember I saw something that now builds from Spectre's Cowl. Okay, my mistake. Spectre's Cowl and Crystalline Bracer instead of Spectre's Cowl and Ruby Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
I but I think that means that now Spirit Visage will no longer receive its CDR,
Right.
which could be seen as a nerf to some.
It is. It is
It
a
is-
nerf.
Yes,
Indeed. Mm-hmm.
because there aren't really for tanks. There's not a lot of options to get with CDR.
Mm-hmm.
You have you have Spirit Visage, you have Frozen Heart, and you have maybe a Black Cleaver or a Locket.
Right. Now, to kind of, well, we have to talk about the Aegis of the Legion and the Locket of the Iron Solari. One
Yes,
thing that has been changed, of course, Aegis of the Legion getting that cost reduction.
300. That's a lot.
That is a lot, but you do get the downsides with it. The Aura MR that's casted, well, not casted, but gives or provides your teammates with additional MR is reduced from 20 to 15.
And it no longer gives health regen in the aura.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure if it's a buff or a nerf. I guess it's a nerf, most definitely. But so
Yes.
you also see the Locket of the Iron Solari. The changes include that the shield power increased by 50% and the shield duration, but the shield duration decreased from 5 seconds to 2 seconds.
Yes. So this is definitely gonna hurt the Locket's team fight power a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel.
It has to be really well timed. Like, for example, if you're gonna get like a Zigzalt or a Luxalt on you, and you time it well, it might be better for the situation. But if it's like a long team fight, it's gonna be very hard to figure out when to use it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you still want to build your banner of command, though, that got a 300 cost reduction as well, while the
Mhm.
stats maintain the same.
Right. Hmm.
I believe that covers it for all the tank setups.
Right.
Um, which I guess leaves us done with the PvE, finally.
Or we didn't talk about the new items.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. There's three new bruiser items that are
Mhm.
being introduced.
Tim, we might have to kind of push the speed on our explanations, but
Yes. Okay.
anyway, yeah,
Okay, so there's
bring it
basically
to me.
three new items being introduced: the Sterax Gauge, the Titanic Hydra, and the Dead Man's Plate, which
Mhm.
came from the Black Market Brawlers.
Mhm.
These are items that are meant to be given to the physical damage tanks that want a bit more of an offensive build than just, say, uh,
Mhm.
Black Cleaver or Frozen Mallet.
Right.
The Sterax, it gives health, it gives AD based on your base AD, and then when you get damaged, like Mav Malmortius, you will gain a shield, you will gain extra size, and you will gain extra AD for a time. So it is a very good mid to late game team fight item, as I see it.
Which kind of champions will you see this item being used by?
I definitely could see like someone that rushes in hard during a fight, like a Rek'Sai, or
Mhm.
a Garen, or Darius, or hell, maybe even a Mundo, if you want to go that route.
Mhm. All right. Is that all for that item, or?
For the Sterex, yes, I do think the item has pretty good potential. Just the stats on it are a bit lackluster.
Mhm. We
And
might
then,
see them in the pro scene, but yeah.
yes, we, and the next item, Titanic Hydra, another melee only item.
Mhm.
It is similar to the Ravenous Hydra, only now it gives health and AD with the health regen, and it will give you a cone of attack, and this cone will scale up with your health based
Mhm.
on, so it's like a new Atma's Impaler.
Right.
And basically you build a lot of health and you could just be chunking people out while being tanky. So I do think this is another good scaling item for mid to late game.
I see. What kind of champions will you see playing this item?
I think more of the same from earlier. You could
Mhm.
even rush this on champion. You can even get this on champions like uh, Vi, because it'll synergize with her E,
Mhm.
and maybe a Wukong as well. Champions like that that apply on hit effects if they want to go more bruiser style.
I see. Is this strictly for melee
Yes,
champions?
yes.
Right.
ADCs cannot run this item.
Both or one or just the Titanic Hydra?
Just the Titanic Hydra. If you want to go Serax Gauge on an ADC, go right ahead.
All right. Now is that all? You said third item, right?
One more, Dead Man's Plate from the Black Market Brawlers.
Mhm.
Basically, it builds from the old build Sunfire K-Pad with Giant's Belt and the Chain Vest,
Mhm.
and it will give you armor and health, and it's kind of like another static shift type item where you run around, build up stacks. You
Mhm.
gain momentum charges, which give you more movement speed, but they also, when you hit something, they will release, doing basically for you take half you take the charges you have and apply it as half physical damage. So say you have 50, you do 25. And when you get 100 stacks, you will apply 100 physical damage. And if you are melee with this item, you will slow down your target.
By
Some
auto attacking or
by auto attacking, yes.
right?
So
Interesting.
it's
Yeah.
another item meant for straight up tanks that can charge in after people. It is another offensive type item that tanks can get, but
Mhm.
still maintaining uh, defense to go in.
Right.
So I think again we'll see a lot of the same type of champions I mentioned previously getting this item, especially
Mhm.
if for those champions that move slowly and want something that can buff their movement speed and give them another crowd control they might not have.
I could see jungle or support champions going for this item because it
Yes,
does give, yeah.
I definitely could see like a Shyvana running this.
Hmm. you could definitely see that CC being abused by the support or jungle champions trying to use it like you know a hard CC or not hard but like a pretty hard CC.
Yes, I think the only tank in the game that's ranged is Thresh,
Hmm.
so everyone else can benefit off this item's melee passive.
Yeah. All right. I
You can
think
you can
yeah.
you can even run it on like a Zac or a Nautilus if you want a way to put out physical damage.
Hmm.
So you can try stuff out with that. Um, I believe that finally wraps up the PvE section.
It does. Now we will talk about the LCS scenes. I think we only have time for the LCS, if I'm correct.
Yes, we've
Hmm.
been going for roughly 2 hours now, longer than we had anticipated with this patch.
I was like saying, we'll do around something over an hour, but that wasn't the case.
Yes, unfortunately, this has been a very busy week, so we've had a lot to discuss.
Yeah. But anyway, it wasn't really bad. It
Yes,
could be a good thing for us. Now, we are going to head off and talk about the EU and the NA playoffs. I haven't really seen the EU games. It happened today. Um,
yes.
yeah, tell me about it.
H2K versus Giants. It finished 3-0. It was completely one-sided in H2K's favor.
Hmm.
But on the third game, they had to switch out their jungle Lulix for what was their sub's name? If I can find it. One moment.
Hmm.
Yes. Batong Jockey, their sub jungler, who they brought in because a lot of people were saying that Lulix was not applying proper pressure in the games he was being shown in, and I could definitely see that.
And he is
But
playing for Giants?
no, he was playing on H2K. Despite
Ooh.
the fact that H2K was winning, they felt
Mhm.
the need to switch out their jungler.
Hmm. It
And
does make sense, yeah.
yeah, so Giants was putting up a decent fight, but overall, H2K just kind of stomped them thanks to their mid laner Ryu and
Yeah,
their AD Hajman.
interesting.
Harjna. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Rio, you may remember him from being pretty embarrassed by that game long time ago that made people realize how good SKT Faker was
Right.
with the Zed plays. It was a blind pick game where both sides had Zeds and
Yes, I
Faker.
remember this
Yeah,
actually.
pretty much. Yeah, he totally outplayed Rio.
They both ulted in on each other, but Faker had less health, but still managed to shadow the correct ways and kill Ryu.
Exactly. Well, anyway, we'll head off and talk about the game between Team Impulse and Team Dignitas.
Yes, this was another very big stomp.
Hmm.
TIP won 3-0 against Dignitas. This was Team Impulse's week where they did not have Zhao Wei Zhao. Instead, they had Gate,
Hmm.
due to the controversy with Zhao Wei Zhao being caught elo boosting.
Right. One thing I do want to mention is that the first game was pretty close. It was very fluctuating in terms of how the game was going. There was a
Right.
time when Team Impulse was winning, then all of a sudden Team Dignitas was winning, and then Team Impulse finalizing with a big team fight, coming on
Yes.
top, and then finishing the game. But the rest of the two other games, they're pretty one-sided.
Yes, although the final game, Impulse didn't even finish with the highest amount of kills. Uh, Dignitas had 1 kill over them. Dignitas had control for the early and mid game, but
Mhm.
then TIP won a Baron fight and then managed to push for victory at the very end of that.
Right. It's. I feel like going for Dragon is not that important if you're not going to get that fifth Dragon stack. It feels
Right,
like going for the Baron or making strategies to abuse the Baron buff are more potent than the Dragon
right.
strategies.
hmm This season, we've definitely seen Baron contribute a lot more than it did. Before, it was just a damage boost with some HP regen, but now it has so much pushing power
Exactly.
behiand it because of
Hmm.
its ability to buff up every minion.
Not only that, you recall in 3 seconds, and it's pretty big if you think
Yes,
about it. When you
yes,
have to head back home to get some minion waves or to save your nexus or your towers, it does the job really well.
yes. So I'm I'm expecting a lot out of both H2K and Impulse.
Hmm.
Impulse, I'm not too sure of because they've got some steep competition in terms of both Liquid and CLG.
Hmm.
Um, so honestly, I'm thinking Liquid probably has the best chance of going first, but I know you're rooting for CLG.
No, I honestly think that Team Liquid is looking the strongest right now.
Oh, okay.
But
Honestly, Liquid
mhm.
has been very dominant in the season.
They have Phoenix, who's been improving. I feel like he's been improving so much as a player, gaining
Yes,
confidence every single game. You remember that amazing play, getting that quadra kill, I believe,
yes.
against CLG.
1v4 Quadro when he was less than half health and they tried to dive him under his Azir turret.
Oh my goodness!
And then he
Yeah,
did a very impressive Shurima shuffle that killed everyone.
the Empress Divide just pretty much destroying them, and
Unfortunately,
yeah.
recently Azir lost his Shurima shuffle ability because he lost his knockup. But
Mm,
it, in general, Azir is still very strong. It just means you won't get that free chance to use your ultimate if you land the knockup.
hmm. Well, you have less time, I guess, to do that.
Yes.
But anyway, H2K, who are they playing next?
I'm not sure who they're up against next. I know they're I know they placed didn't they place third overall?
So I believe that they are going to play the winner between Unicorns of Love and Rollcat. What
Yes.
do you think? Who would win?
Probably Unicorns of Love. Rockcat has not been impressing me at all this season.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But Unicorns of Love, they're focused on picking very off-meta cheese picks, and I'm not sure how long that can carry them.
True. If you remember Kikis, who was the original member of Unicorns of Love, who was also a jungler, he left the
Yes.
team. I believe Airwax is playing for him.
Airwax and Horo replaced him. They replaced
Horo.
two junglers.
Switching from in between. They do look like the favorites, but we'll
Yes.
have to see. It might be one sided, we'll see.
Yes, as for the NA game, it is a very big one. TSM versus Gravity.
Who do you think will win?
I'm hoping TSM because they're usually very good in best of five situations,
Hmm.
but Gravity has proven uh, they can tilt TSM pretty easily with their off-meta picks.
Indeed. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think that Gravity, dare I say, I feel like Gravity is going to win the series. Although Team Solo Mid has a very interesting record of winning best of 5 games, I
Yes,
still think that well, to be honest, Team Solo Mid has its dramas
yes,
inside its gaming house, and I feel like
yes.
it's really um,
It's been no secret that Loco and Bjergsen have been arguing a lot.
not only that, Reginald, like he's been famous for flaming at his players.
Yes, everyone
Um,
remembers the live stream where him and Dyrus got into a fight.
hmm. So I feel like Team Solo Mid, in the midst of all that drama, they will eventually kind of break as a team. I hope they do
Yes,
well. I hope they don't pick on Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle is a really talented player.
yes.
But anyway.
I would like to. Another reason I would like to see Liquid go on to Worlds is I would just love to be able to see them because Piglet could fight against his entire team of SKT.
Oh, indeed. That's true.
Yes,
Or Team
they
Impulse.
yes Yes, with
Impact.
Impact.
Yeah. It will
I
be interesting.
yes. Uh, as for other potential teams, we still have the potential of seeing Cloud9 come back,
hmm
and then we have Dig Dignitas was just recently taken out, and then we still have CLG. CLG has been
hmm
pretty strong, but they had a very weak mid split.
Uh, Tim, I think I lied to you. The winner, so H2K is going to play against the first team.
Oh, so Fnatic?
I think so.
Oh, that's rough.
Let's see.
Everyone remembers that Fnatic has had a perfect split.
Oh, actually no, it's actually the second place.
Okay,
Thank
so
God.
Origin.
Yeah, it's Origin. So whoever's playing in the next game, which is Unicorns of Love and Rocat, will play
Yes.
Fnatic. The winner between these two. I feel like Unicorns of Love will go up and I remember.
I feel like in general the finale for EU is just going to be Origin versus Fnatic.
You think so? I feel like Unicorns of Love is really surprising. If you remember, I don't know if you've seen it, but during the spring playoffs, Unicorns of Love and Fnatic played all 5 games actually, really close throughout the series.
Yes, but don't forget, Unicorns of Love did lose Kikis.
There's that.
And their new jungler has not been impressing me. Their new two junglers have not been impressing me very much.
hmm I guess
So,
Fnatic has been even developing like greater confidence and
yes,
teamwork
Fnatic
synergy.
themselves have chosen a lot of cheese picks this season. With they were the ones to start Trundle support,
Mm-hmm.
and they brought back Olaf and Rengar.
They
So
did.
they've seen that we've seen that they have gigantic champions, and in general they can basically pull off any comp at this point.
Mm-hmm. Now, Team Impulse will be playing against Counterlogic Gaming (CLG).
Yes,
Um, predictions?
I think in a best of five CLG have it.
CLG.
And yeah, because I don't know. I feel like Gate is a bit of a weak spot because he's not nearly as uh, engaged as Zhao Zhao was, and I feel like against a really good mid laner like Pobelter, he'll struggle.
Yeah, I agree. What about Origin versus H2K?
For that, Origin is putting a really strong performance, but so is H2K, so I feel like that could go all 5 games.
I do indeed think that both teams are really good. H2K is still up there. I feel like H2K may be upsetting and winning the best of 5 series. We'll see. I think that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, finally.
Yes.
Half 5. All right. That was it, guys. That was Lounge of Legends, the first
Yes.
episode. We'll probably try to fix, the timing of everything.
Yes. We will definitely work on time.
Yeah.
Maybe once we get more people in here, it'll be easier to figure out.
We did have 9 viewers.
Yeah, I saw that they went down to 2 for the rest of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we did kind of talk really in detail about the stats and the specific changes.
Yes. For anyone who's still here, we thank you for joining us.
We love you.
And
Yeah.
yes. So we hope to see you guys again some in the future. We really hope to get this thing kicking off and just really have a following for this because podcasts are a bit underrated right now.
They are indeed. We might. I don't know. One day we might have webcam podcasts.
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
see about that.
Yes, we will try to do it in the future.
But anyway, thank you for watching. Please follow us. We do have our own Twitters. Follow us
Yes.
on Twitter also. So anyway, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.